Hello, and welcome to Startups in Real Life. Today, we have a special episode of our Founder Spotlight series with Swati Agarwal, the CEO of Bear River. After our last episode, many people have asked Swati, how did you get to where you are so quickly? What tips can you give? And this is one of the favorite types of episodes I like, is really digging in to a founder's journey. So we decided to create this special episode to share hers. One of the people I admire most in leadership, Ryan Roslansky, says it well in his intro to the podcast he started last year, The Path. He says most career paths aren't linear and there is no one formula for success. But still, one of the most common questions asked is, what is your path to success? So we're going to walk through that today. You ready to do it, Swati?
Let's roll.
All right, let's do it. I'd like to start with asking you two things that I hope will kind of frame the whole conversation. So the first one, I'm going to ask them both, and then you can kind of go into them, is what is your mantra? And then explain it. And then what is your motto? So if you could take it from here, that'd be great.
Okay. Well, I try to believe in my three F's and hold true to them every day. That's being fierce, fearless, and flawed.
Hmm.
And what that means for me is that I have to define my own path, and I can't let anybody tell me what I can or cannot do.
Mhm.
Also, taking risks, right? Risks are hard, but it's always or often that bold decision yield good results, amazing results for that matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
And accepting that failure is a part of your journey, that a lot of times the risks we take, we will succeed, and few times we'll fail, right? And failures, as hard as failures are, we often learn so much from them, and it's our response to
Sometimes
the
more,
failures.
right? I
Yeah.
mean, I've found that, but I'm sorry, keep going.
No, but that's so true. What you're saying is right, that that's so important. What we do after the failure defines where we go ourselves and where the company will go. We have to take time to analyze why we failed and what failed and move forward with more force.
Hmm. Hmm. And what about an external motto? Like, what do you use outside? Because that sounds like an internal kind of way that you navigate, who you
Right.
are. Talk to me about kind of your external version.
My external versions is, that I'm deep rooted for feedback. Like as a company, both me and the company, we are so deep rooted with constructive feedback, whether it's from the customers, whether it's internally. But what I had to learn really deeply is that it's constructive feedback. I cannot let criticism defer me from my path, right? And
Hmm.
something that has deeply resonated with me, what Brené Brown says, is that if you're not in the arena getting your ass kicked on occasion, I'm not interested in your feedback.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, when I had first heard it a couple of years back, it's something so simple, but you have to really, really stop and think about it, right? That what feedback you will take and not take. There are so many people in life that will sit in the back seat and pass judgment on you and what you're doing, right? But never be brave enough to put their lives online or do the hard work you are doing.
right,
And you
right.
have to make a conscious choice that whether you're going to take that feedback or not.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the piece of part of what I believe in, which is, knowing yourself in the Socratic sense and being able to really be able to hear people, not react, know what's anything you might project out or get defensive about versus, okay, that was good feedback. I'm going to take it in and I'm going to learn from it. Um, yeah, but fierce, fearless, and flawed. I think that's I haven't heard that before, and I really like that. So thank you for sharing
Thank
that.
you.
And deep rooted for feedback. That's also, as far as outside. Do you use that inside the company, like when you're talking with your team and maybe people are getting a little frustrated or anything? Is there ever time you kind of just put that out there, or how do you use it?
Uh, you know, uh, we do use it internally a lot, and I do talk about it in all of our meetings because, as I've said, we are a bunch of very passionate, very opinionated people, and we are not scared to challenge each other, question each other,
Hmm.
right? And to welcome that atmosphere and say that, we need to say what we think, we need to all have opinions, but we also need to move forward.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm always hearing what people are saying, taking time to connect to that, but what we take in as a company and move forward, and what we not, what we
Hmm.
don't. So, yeah.
That's great. Okay, now let's go back to the beginning. So you
Okay.
started as a business analyst for the first half of your career, really, from what I can see. And you know, why did you pick that path, and how do you believe that set you up for the success in your future roles as both a CRO and ultimately a CEO?
Okay. So, I want to first say that I did choose to be a business analyst. Um, but the path forward through that, like project management, product management, account manager, CRO, and CEO, I did not define that path, and I did not think this is where I was going. I think it grew organically, and I kept taking more and more opportunities as they came my way, and kept learning through them. Um, and a lot of people around me tell me a lot of times that you manifested this, because, like, I used to talk
Mm,
about being a CEO 20 years ago. And I've been reflecting that a lot in the last couple of years, right? That I did want to be a CEO, and I did want to be an entrepreneur running my own company.
mhm,
But at that time, I did not know that this is the path I'm going to take, or this is what's going to define my path here.
mhm,
So, when we first moved to States, um, I was looking for opportunities. My background was in tech, and I wanted to stay in tech, but I was also wanting to work closely with the customers. So when the opportunity presented to be a business analyst, that sounded really exciting, right?
yeah,
And it was a very exciting time, and a role for me, because I got to work very closely with the customers, really understood what it takes to understand what the customer needs are, and how do we turn it into wants, and then develop a product around it,
yeah.
right? And continue that product process in and out. And I think that just the whole idea of creating a product, by taking customers' voice and feedback, was a really valuable lesson that I learned.
Yeah, yeah. As I've mentioned to you, I also started as an analyst and business analyst. For me, I think it was similar, and also it was like knowing that what I was creating in a product had to then be accepted by those
Mhm.
people who at the point in my career there was a lot of layoffs, there was a lot of downsizing happening, and people were afraid by the automating processes, making them more efficient. So learning the trust, which I'm sure is also part of what you did, it's like learning to get people, allowing people to trust you so that when that product was done, you could implement it and make it this successful rollout, was also a skill. I think that, you
Yeah.
kind of talked about, with, a people skill, that's kind of required, along with listening and kind of documenting. What was the moment in your career when was there a moment in your career when you had to pause and make a tough decision about your path? So a fork in the road, A, B. If you could share a little bit about that, and most importantly, the process you used to help you make the decision of which direction to go.
I can think of several examples, but the one I want to talk about is when I became an account manager. And
Okay.
I want to talk about that because I really feel that that was such a crucial step in my career. And I was totally out of my comfort zone. I knew nothing about the role or what it required, and there was nobody to teach me around or define what the role was, right? And nobody else to backfill my role of a project manager, product manager, and business analyst, three roles I was doing before. But I made a conscious decision to take on that role of an account manager, and I did not have a lot of time to learn, or just take time to learn and understand what it takes to be an account manager. And as I said, I was so uncomfortable. It was so hard,
Mhm.
and some of my best growth happened at that point of time, wherein I sat with my uncomfortableness. I worked so incredibly hard, be it be day and night, weekends. I took time to understand each and every customer. I went an extra mile to build that trust with them. That is just, I think that was incredible,
Mhm.
both for me and to build those relationships with the customers and understand that, it is so important. And also just for my own growth, that to be uncomfortable and still keep moving forward and learn and try to be good at the job.
So, what did you pull from inside yourself? Because that was scary, right? It was
Yeah.
this unknown. There wasn't a mentor there. It sounds like, like everything was kind of on you. So, going back, to your life, what was it? And this is going to lead into my next question of mentors and kind of the people that we lean on. What did you use to kind of make the decision and then feel really confident about it once you made that?
um, so I would say that I definitely had a good support system.
Hmm.
Right. I am incredibly grateful to be where I am and be surrounded by the people I am. And I did have support from the people inside. Like, I would say that my husband definitely, and he sees the best, worst, and the crazy in me. But to be able to give me that space where I was working day in and out and weekends, right? It's a lot. And he supported me through that. He said, if you want to try it and you want to take it on, you should take it on.
Hmm.
Right? Um, Endless chats with my brother, my dad saying that, as you grow older, your risk taking ability and your ability to learn diminishes if you don't practice it,
Hmm.
right? And some of some of the times in life you have to do the hard work and you have to take the job that no one else wants to and thrive at it to move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I have to say that at the time, Randy was our CEO and Tony was our president. When I started doing the job, they never said no. Right?
Hmm.
That's the beauty of it. That nobody ever stopped me to do the work that wanted to do.
Hmm.
They didn't ask me to do it, but they did not stop me. Right? So
Hmm.
it's also an incredible gift that people will trust you to do the job. You don't have any training, you're not trained for it, you've never done the job, but second day you are in front of your biggest customers, right?
Yeah.
So having that confidence, I think, helps,
Hmm.
right? And while we were going through the process, we had hired a consultant, and I think the best thing that he told me was, you're going to do your best work when you're uncomfortable because you're going to work so hard, and the worst what will happen is you'll fail, right? But you'll learn in the process and move forward.
Hmm. Hmm. And this again touches on in your previous episode, you shared how your father and your uncles were role models for you, and you've kind of talked about that even now, and your brother. Please share with me how having them as mentors early in your life helped you navigate your career now, and do you seek out mentors still, and how do you utilize kind of that support structure?
So having an incredible support structure that I have, it's definitely uh, definitely helped me being that driven taking on the challenges and just believing that, I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And I think that's really who I am. I have, I can't just prep and go into something and keep learning. I think when I am in the situation, I'll do everything I can to learn, to figure out what it takes, right? And I'll work hard, but I am in the situation and I'll figure it out.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it is the opportunities that have been given to me by my father, by my brother, by my husband, and incredible friends and family that we have.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Um, and in terms of seeking mentors now, I think I'm always seeking people. Um, I have to say that different points of time in my life, a lot of people have helped me. Like Benny Brown, I think her books, her have helped me so much.
Mm-hmm.
I read Indra Noori's book by the time when I was taking on the CRO role, and she talked about so much of challenges coming from an Indian background and how it is different, right? And something that deeply touched me was that she talks about that, we come from a culture where we show so much of respect for our elders, but that can also make us sit in our corner because we don't want to be rude, we don't want to ask for what we want,
Mm-hmm.
right? And nobody will come and hand you or anything in a silver plate. You can do a great job, but you also have to ask for what you want,
Mm-hmm.
right? So, yeah, and Priyanka Chopra, she talks about so much about the hardships and the failures and how to navigate forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think that normalized a lot of what I was going through and it helped me move forward.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it sounds a lot like, as I hear your story, it's the foundation of being given kind of the support to believe in yourself so that you could have the confidence to go in and step into the unknown. Seems like a big piece of your path, of your story. Okay, let's get back to the career path itself. So before you became the company CEO, you were the CRO.
Mhm.
Um, what are some of the most important strategies you implemented in that role that helped you set you up for your future role as the CEO?
You know, when I was a CRO, 1 year into that role, the company was more profitable than it had been in the past 10 years. And it's so incredible to think about, right? We did not change a lot of things, but we we s- we took time to actually understand what is the value of a product, what are we delivering to our customers, and what impact it's having on their operations. I had such hard conversations internally and with our customers about our product and about the product services and the values we are delivering. And I strongly believe those hard conversations that I had
Hmm.
really shaped the company and my growth
Hmm.
and built incredible trusting relationship with the customers,
Hmm.
right? They not only stuck with us through this change, the change of management, the change of branding, the change of pricing,
Hmm.
but we had a more trusting relationship than ever. They saw the value that we are bringing. We worked closely with them to deliver what they want. And I think it became a true partnership.
Hmm. Nice. And what do you, from what you learned when you were a CRO, what are you handing on now to your sales team from that learning? Like what is like a couple key messages that you're giving to your team now?
So I think what was important for me, coming from a tech world where I started my career as a developer.
Mhm.
I did development, I did business analyst, I did project management, product management, right? We get into this tech mindset,
Mhm.
and sales looks scary, or it looks like, oh, I don't want to be a salesperson, right? Because you're not doing the main job, you're doing sales,
Yeah.
right? What I had learned in 2 years doing sales is that, it is you can still hold a lot of integrity and trust
Mhm.
and still be a good salesperson. You it's a lot of part of sales is listening, right? And understanding and listening to the challenges, right? And understanding how can product help fill that or not, right? And just focusing on that. So what we talk about internally with our sales team right now is that we are not going and selling just anything and everything, right? We are showing customers the value we can deliver with our product and services
Mhm.
and analyzing if they need that. And if we can find those customers, it's a true relationship, and
Mhm.
where we it's a mutually beneficial relationship, and we know we'll do a great job
Mhm.
there. So it's worth fighting for, it's worth sticking for, it's worth working for.
Yeah. So it's you're yeah. So it sounds like the messaging is around relationships and trust and listening.
Mhm.
Okay, neat. What are some of the significant challenges you faced internally and externally when transitioning from that role of a CRO to the CEO at Bear River?
It was a much bigger transition than I was prepared for and I had thought.
Hmm.
Um, Even through business analyst to CRO, I was still responsible for a part of it, my job, right?
Hmm.
I was I continued looking at the company through the lens of my job, right, and tried to excel in that. But when I became the CEO, I realized that I have a 360 view of the company.
Hmm.
It's no longer about just excelling at one job. It's about making sure that every gear of the company is churned, right? What do we need to do in every part of it? So you start questioning, you start analyzing, you start viewing it from a different lens. And it's a much bigger transition internally and externally, right?
Hmm.
Uh, there are people who are working with you past 10, 12 years who are used to seeing you in a single job. And now you're sitting and analyzing what work we are doing, and you know that you have a vision, and I have a vision and a path to carve out to, which means that I'm going to have to churn all the gears into action,
Hmm.
right? So these it's incredibly hard to um, look at it from that lens, and also try to churn it and change it and bring change in every part of the company and still propel forward.
Hmm. Okay.
um, yeah, and I
Yeah.
think I'm still learning and growing with
Yeah.
it.
I mean,
Yeah,
we probably always will be, right?
right.
Which is good. Um, what helped you through the transition? If you could share some of the tools and resources so that others can understand and consider them for their growth as well, that would be great.
What helped me is balancing ambition versus humility and kindness, right? For me, it feels like I'm playing Jenga all the time, right? That I'm trying to balance everything, but because I am driven and it's my tendency to go at everything with full force, right? When I see anything and I just want to do it, and I want to do it all and move forward.
Hmm.
But I'm realizing how important it is to balance it, uh, it to balance it and take time to pause and connect with customers, right? It and also people internally with people, to stop and listen and analyze their views and incorporate that as well in my journey,
Hmm.
right? To stay grounded through all of this, right? There's so much growth that happens for the company and for me personally through all this, that I move forward but also stay grounded to my roots, to where I come from and the values that I've learned along the way.
Hmm.
I also try to always remember that I come from a very small town in India, right? And there are so many people who work so hard and are extremely talented, but don't get to do what I get to do. day. So I try to remember that. I try to practice gratitude.
Mhm.
Um, and I think what I'm learning today, and I don't do it really well, but I'm learning, is just taking time out, clocking out,
Mhm.
right? I love working. Love has like work has always been my love. I this is the place I go to, and I can totally immerse myself in work and continue working day in and night. But and it worked till I in my 30s, I will
Mhm.
say. But now in my 40s, I'm realizing it doesn't work as much. That it felt so good, and the culture I come from, it is such an important part to work so hard and get
Mhm.
great results that it's like I'm on an adrenaline rush all the time, right? I do this and it works great and I want to do more, right? But I'm really learning that I need to disconnect. And it's not a sprint
Mhm.
that I can just run through it and be done with it. It's a marathon. It's a long running marathon, and I need to show up every single day. So I need
What
time.
changed both internally and externally to make you realize that? I mean, was it just your age? Because you're mentioning your 30s, 40s.
Yeah.
Was there anything, other things going on just to give, people some context?
So
Mm.
I think there are a lot of things going on, right? That I think I am at one, being the CEO, you need to show up every single day, being your best, looking your best, and I'm interacting with customers day in and out. Right?
Mhm.
I do not have the time that I was working till 3 o'clock in the night. I can still show up 7 o'clock in the morning and be my very best. I can't pull it off.
Mhm.
I need that time to rest, right? More than working hard, it was time to take time to rest to be able to show up 7 o'clock in the morning and be my best. Second, that I need time. I need time for my daughter. I need time for my husband. I need time for my family and friends. And they're so important, right? There was a period of my time where I just focused on my work and propelling forward, but I realized that it's not sustainable. And
Mhm.
I need that time to fulfill myself by connecting with my people around.
Mhm. Nice. Okay, thank you. Um, okay, we're gonna start to wrap it up. But one of the things that I like to ask people is, if you could go back and give your business analyst self, your younger self, one piece of advice, what would it be?
I would say I will had a hard time to saying one piece of advice, but I'll give you a few.
Okay.
You know, I want to go back and say that I want to tell myself that this is just a chapter of your life, not the whole book. So take it easy.
Hmm.
Breathe. You don't have to work so hard. You can take time to relax. Um, I also want to say that I have learned it today and I'm still working at it, but do not seek external validation all the time. It's nice when people tell you you're doing a good job and you're doing good, but it's more about believing in yourself.
Hmm.
And yeah, keep working at it.
Hmm. Hmm. Nice. Any other insights or reflections, or personal goals? Anything I haven't asked that you'd like to share?
I'll share what I'm thinking about my personal goal as well as what's the goal for Bear River, because lots of people ask me that.
Hmm.
You know, and I was thinking about what is my goal. I've talked about that I've really never defined my path. I've just taken on the opportunities as they come and just
Hmm.
jump into them. So, and I've heard and read this that really resonates with me deeply. That the goal of life uh, is not um is not to reach to the grave safely in a well preserved body, but rather slid and slide, thoroughly wound up, totally worn out, shouting. that was a hell of a ride.
Yeah, I've heard that one. I like that one.
Yeah. Yeah, I really liked it.
Mhm. That's good. Um, okay, my one of my last questions: what is the definition of bliss for you?
It's um it's being on a beach with my daughter and husband in Goa specifically.
Hmm. Nice. Um, and finally, is there all of these things that you're learning and have learned? Is there anything specific about Bear River that you want to kind of share as a final thought, and how you're incorporating that in?
So, when I think about Bear River, Bear Tracks, and where we are going,
Hmm.
um, I'm often reminded by the last 2 years that I had that whatever comes our way, we will power through it, we'll push through the setbacks and do more. And I think the goal for us is to serve our customers incredibly well through our product and services and just be excellent in that. Beyond that, I do not want to define a glass ceiling for myself or for the company.
Hmm.
I think we want to just continue moving forward and see where it takes us.
Nice. Okay, well, thank you so much for this. This was great for taking on this as kind of special episode. I look forward to seeing you next week. We're going to be talking with you and a couple of your people, and hearing more about the customer and the customer point of view. So we appreciate it, and have a great week, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.